Have you ever wondered if there's something you wish you'd known about your own body, especially when it comes to pleasure, intimacy, or just feeling comfortable in your own skin after 60? If you have, you're not alone. For so many men and women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, there's a sense that topics like masturbation get swept under the rug. Maybe you grew up in a time when no one talked about it, or if they did, it was always with a whisper or a wagging finger. But here's the truth. Self-pleasure isn't just normal, it can be a vital part of a healthy, vibrant life at any age. And yet, so many of my patients, men and women, tell me the same thing. I wish someone had told me these things sooner, doctor. My name is Dr. Nolan Easton, and I've spent more than 30 years as a men's health specialist, listening to real stories from real people who just want to understand their bodies a little better, live with less embarrassment, and embrace a fuller, happier life. Let me tell you about one patient who sticks out in my mind. We'll call him Carl. Carl came to me at age 72, embarrassed, almost sheepish. He said, "Doc, am I too old to be doing this? Is it safe?" He wasn't just talking about sex, he was talking about masturbation. His wife had passed several years before, and though he loved her dearly, loneliness and curiosity had made him question whether self-pleasure was still appropriate or even healthy. What struck me wasn't his question, but how long he'd waited to ask it. Decades of quiet, private uncertainty. Carl is not unusual. In fact, he's just like so many men and women I see. After 60, we hear all sorts of myths. You'll lose your drive, it's unsafe, you're too old. The reality is, our bodies change, but desire, comfort, and the need for touch do not vanish just because we reach a certain birthday. And here's where I want to share something with you. Something I wish every person over 60 knew. Masturbation, when understood and practiced thoughtfully, isn't just about physical relief. It can ease stress, help you sleep, even improve mood and circulation. And believe it or not, there are right and wrong ways to approach it as we age, little tweaks that can make all the difference between feeling awkward and feeling at home in your body. Now, before we go any further, let me reassure you, you're in the right place. There's no shame in seeking honest, clear answers. In fact, the very fact that you're watching, learning, and caring about your health is the best thing you can do for yourself at this stage of life. Over my career, I've helped thousands of seniors just like you rediscover comfort, confidence, and a sense of playful curiosity about their own bodies. And if you stay with me, I promise, there are a few insights you may wish you'd heard years ago, but it's never too late to enjoy their benefits now. If you're finding this topic helpful so far, I'd love if you'd hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new video from our community. And here's something special I'd like to ask. Leave a simple yes or no in the comments below if any part of this message resonates with you. I personally read your answers, and it helps me tailor my future advice to serve you even better. Your feedback genuinely shapes these conversations. Let's talk about why the senior years are actually one of the best times to re-explore what feels good for you, and why so many myths hold people back from a more joyful, healthy relationship with their bodies. See, when you were younger, you probably never thought twice about self-pleasure, if you thought about it at all. But as we get older, things can shift. Changes in hormones, sensitivity, and even our joints or mobility can make the old habits less comfortable or even frustrating. Carl told me, "I just can't do what I used to. It doesn't feel the same." He was embarrassed by the changes, thinking something must be wrong with him. But the truth is, almost everyone feels a shift after 60. Sometimes, hands or wrists ache. Sometimes, it takes longer to get aroused or finish. Sometimes, medications for blood pressure, diabetes, or prostate health can dampen sensation or make it harder to reach climax. It's all part of the normal journey of aging, and none of it means you're broken, or that you should just give up. What I've seen time and again is that once seniors start to let go of old expectations, something beautiful can happen. They can start to treat self-pleasure as an exploration, not a performance. It's not about racing to the finish line or living up to how things used to be. It's about curiosity, kindness to yourself, and even rediscovering what your body likes now, in this new stage. Carl, for example, began to approach things more slowly. Without the pressure to perform. He found that a change in pace, even experimenting with different positions or using gentle massage oil, made the experience not only possible, but more pleasurable than it had been in years. He started to feel more connected to his body, more relaxed, and, perhaps most importantly, he felt a weight lifted. He was no longer ashamed of something that was both natural and healing for him. I want to stress, there is no right age to stop enjoying yourself. In fact, for many seniors, learning new ways to take care of themselves is a key part of maintaining both physical and mental health. I've seen firsthand how something as simple as a little knowledge can bring back a spark, whether that means less loneliness, better sleep, or just waking up with a smile instead of a sigh. As we continue, I'll share with you a handful of insights I've collected from decades of patient stories, research, and honest conversations. Tips that are practical, gentle, and absolutely doable, no matter your health or mobility. Whether you're curious, cautious, or just seeking a little reassurance, you'll find that making even small adjustments can have a profound impact on your sense of well-being and comfort. So stay with me, and remember, you're not alone in this. You deserve honesty, comfort, and a healthy curiosity, no matter your age. Let's break the silence together, and help you rediscover a part of life that should never come with shame, but with confidence, pride, and perhaps even a little bit of fun. If you're like Carl, maybe you've wondered whether you should just let it go, or if self-pleasure is still something that can fit into your life in a healthy, positive way. I'll tell you the same thing I told him. It's not just about the act, but about the benefits it can bring. For seniors, it can mean more restful sleep, a brighter mood, and sometimes even pain relief. In my practice, I've seen how something so simple can help ease feelings of loneliness or anxiety, especially in the quiet hours of the night when worries seem to grow. The truth is, our bodies were designed for touch and connection at every age, and there's no expiration date on that need. One of the biggest things I wish more people understood is that after 60, your relationship with your body changes, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, it can be the beginning of a whole new chapter of discovery. When I first started talking to patients like Carl about this topic, I'd hear a lot of hesitation. But what if I do it wrong? Or, will it hurt me? That's where experience comes in. Over 30 years of conversations, I've seen 5 little-known tips make a world of difference for my older patients. Things they almost always say they wish someone had shared with them earlier. Let's start with the first tip, one that's often overlooked: patience. When you were younger, arousal may have come easily, but as we age, the body's response can be slower. This isn't a sign that something's wrong, it's just part of the natural process. I tell my patients, give yourself permission to take your time. Sometimes, even setting aside a little more time, and giving yourself a few moments to relax, can make the experience much more enjoyable. Carl found that once he stopped worrying about finishing quickly or comparing things to how they used to be, he was able to enjoy the moment for what it was, without pressure or disappointment. Another tip, which surprises many seniors, is the importance of comfort and setting. As you age, small aches, stiffer joints, and even sensitive skin can change what feels good. It's not unusual to find that what once worked no longer does, or that you need a little extra support. Sometimes, a pillow behind your back or a softer blanket can make all the difference. Carl started experimenting. He found that a warm bath beforehand helped him relax and ease sore muscles. Just a small change in setting, a bit of extra care, helped him reclaim comfort and even look forward to these moments again. I also encourage patients to consider lubrication. This is a detail many seniors never thought about in their youth, but with age, skin tends to become drier and more sensitive. For men and women alike, a gentle, fragrance-free lubricant can prevent irritation and make everything smoother. Carl, for instance, was hesitant at first, but after a little encouragement, he tried a gentle, natural oil. It made such a difference that he told me, "I wish I'd known about this 20 years ago." Lubrication isn't about fixing a problem. It's about enhancing comfort and rediscovering sensation in a way that honors where your body is now. It's also perfectly normal for your mind to wander during these moments, especially as you age. I tell my patients, don't be discouraged if thoughts drift or you find yourself distracted. Sometimes, bringing in a gentle routine, a favorite piece of music, soft lighting, or even mindful breathing, can help bring your focus back to the present moment. Carl liked to listen to the same calming song each time. It became his signal to relax and be present, and it made a real difference in how enjoyable and meaningful the experience felt. Before we go any further, I want to gently remind you, if you're finding this conversation helpful or reassuring, please click the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you're always the first to know when we share something new. And remember, your yes or no in the comments truly does shape what I talk about here. I appreciate every message, and I do my best to respond or include your questions in future videos, because you matter and your experience helps so many others who may feel too shy to ask. Over time, I watched Carl's confidence grow. He didn't just feel better physically, he started to smile more, even walk a little taller. He said he was sleeping better and felt less anxious, just knowing he was allowed to enjoy this part of his life without judgment. For him, and for so many others, the journey wasn't about getting it right, but about listening to his body, being kind to himself, and realizing that pleasure can be a gentle, healing part of every stage of life. Another thing to keep in mind, it's perfectly normal for things to change from day to day. What feels good one week might not the next, and that's okay. Our bodies are always in motion, always shifting. The secret is to remain open, playful, and willing to try new things, without expectation or shame. For Carl, simply knowing he could adapt, try something new, or take a break when needed lifted a huge weight off his shoulders. He realized self-pleasure could be about curiosity and comfort, rather than routine or pressure. As we move along, I hope you'll remember this. No one has all the answers, not even your doctor. The real wisdom comes from listening to your body, honoring your own experience, and allowing yourself the freedom to learn, adjust, and enjoy. My goal, always, is to give you permission to treat yourself with care, to embrace your curiosity, and to know you're never alone on this journey. Together, we can change the conversation, one honest tip at a time. One thing that's often overlooked, yet so important as we age, is how closely our emotional and physical well-being are tied together, especially around intimacy and pleasure. I see this in my patients every week. Sometimes it's a man who's lost his partner and wonders if pleasure still counts, or a woman who feels guilty for wanting to reconnect with her own body. These are deeply human questions, and the courage to ask them is itself an act of self-care. Carl once told me that after his wife passed, it felt almost disloyal to focus on his own needs. It took time, and many gentle conversations, before he could see that self-pleasure isn't just about physical touch. It's about accepting that your happiness matters, even now. As a doctor, I try to help my patients see that this part of life is just as worthy of respect and care as diet or exercise. Masturbation, approached with kindness, can actually nurture a deeper sense of self-compassion, reduce tension, and offer moments of comfort, especially if you're living alone or coping with loss. This brings me to another tip I wish every senior knew. Communicate with yourself just as kindly as you would a dear friend. Instead of criticizing or shaming yourself for what's changed, try offering yourself understanding. When you find yourself frustrated or disappointed, gently remind yourself that your body has carried you through decades. It deserves appreciation. Carl's journey became much easier once he stopped measuring his experiences against the past and instead focused on how he was feeling, right now, in this season of life. One practical way to build this self-compassion is to treat self-pleasure as a simple act of caring for yourself. Some of my patients create a small ritual, a warm cup of tea, soft music, maybe even a scented candle. These aren't luxuries. They're signals that you're making time for your well-being, that you matter. For some, this might feel silly at first, but I've seen it make a world of difference. For Carl, creating a little ritual helped him feel more at ease, less rushed, and more comfortable exploring what felt good. It shifted the whole experience from something I shouldn't do to a moment of self-connection and comfort. Another essential tip is to recognize how medications and health conditions can affect your experience. Many seniors I see take medicines for blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, or prostate health. These can influence arousal, sensation, or even make it more difficult to finish. If you notice changes that worry you, bring them up with your doctor. You're not alone. These are extremely common issues, and your healthcare team can often suggest simple adjustments that make a real difference. Don't let embarrassment keep you from asking for help. There is nothing unusual about wanting this part of your life to work better. And here's a reassuring truth. Sometimes it's the smallest change that brings the most relief. I remember one patient who simply switched the time he took his blood pressure pill and found his energy and sensitivity improved. Another tried a new way of sitting that eased his hip pain, making the whole experience more comfortable. The solutions are rarely dramatic, but with a little honest conversation, you can reclaim more ease and pleasure than you might imagine. I want to pause and thank you for spending this time with me, for caring enough about your health and happiness to keep learning and exploring. If you haven't already, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you always know when new advice is available. And don't forget to leave a simple yes or no in the comments if you feel this message has spoken to you today. Your answers really do help me understand what matters most to you, and every time I read them, I feel grateful to be part of this community. Let's also talk about one more vital topic: safety. As we age, our skin may be thinner, and we may not notice discomfort as quickly. If you use any aids or devices, make sure they're clean and designed for sensitive skin. Avoid anything too intense or abrasive, and always stop if you feel pain. This is another place where a gentle lubricant or even just warm water can prevent small injuries that could otherwise spoil the experience. Carl once mentioned that using a soft cloth, instead of his hand alone, made a big difference for him, and it's something many seniors find helpful. If you're finding that your old ways don't bring the same satisfaction, or that you're feeling more frustration than relief, it might be time to try something different, maybe a slower rhythm, a new position, or even just focusing on relaxation instead of a particular outcome. For many, the most surprising part of growing older is discovering that pleasure can be about the journey, not just the destination. Let yourself experiment with what feels good now. For Carl, the moment he let go of expectation, he found pleasure in smaller, more subtle sensations he never noticed before. So, as you reflect on all of this, remember, there's no need to rush, no rules you have to follow, and no one way to take care of yourself. Each day is a chance to learn something new about your body, your comfort, and your happiness. And as you do, I hope you'll find, as Carl did, that pleasure is not just possible after 60, it's your right, your reward, and sometimes, the thing that helps you feel most alive in this beautiful season of life. If you've made it this far, I hope you're feeling not only more informed, but more at ease about embracing this very personal part of life. For many people over 60, it's not the physical changes that are the greatest hurdle, it's the old beliefs, shame, or worries about what others might think. But here's the truth I've seen again and again in my decades as a men's health specialist. When you let go of those silent fears, you give yourself permission to rediscover pleasure, connection, and peace in ways you may have never expected. Let's circle back to Carl's journey for a moment, because his story is really the story of so many seniors I've had the privilege to know. At first, Carl's main concern was, am I too old? But as he tried new approaches and let himself enjoy the moment, something beautiful unfolded. He started to carry himself differently, smiling more, showing up with confidence, even reconnecting with friends he'd lost touch with. There's a kind of freedom that comes from saying, this is my body, and I get to decide what brings me comfort or happiness. This is perhaps the biggest benefit of all, the sense of ownership and self-respect that comes from taking care of yourself, both physically and emotionally. Masturbation, when approached thoughtfully and with care, becomes about so much more than a few minutes of relief. It's about carving out time for your own well-being, reminding yourself that you matter, and letting go of comparisons to the past or anyone else. Carl's transformation wasn't just about pleasure. It was about reclaiming a sense of self-worth that had been buried under years of embarrassment and old expectations. If you take one thing away from our conversation today, let it be this: your needs, your comfort, and your happiness are worthy of your time and attention. There's nothing selfish or shameful about that. In fact, I believe it's one of the keys to a healthier, more joyful life at any age. Too many people reach their later years believing they have to put aside their desires, or that self-care is something for the young. I'm here to remind you that it's never too late to learn, to grow, and to find new ways to care for yourself, inside and out. So how do you begin, especially if you've never spoken openly about these topics before? Start small. You don't need to overhaul your life or become an expert overnight. Maybe it's taking a few extra moments to relax before bed, adding a gentle lotion to your nightly routine. Or just giving yourself permission to ask, what would feel good for me today? The little things truly add up, and over time, they can open doors to comfort, confidence, and a lighter heart. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. Whether you're single, married, widowed, or somewhere in between, these conversations matter. If you feel comfortable, talk with a trusted friend, your partner, or your healthcare provider. So often, the fears we hold are much smaller once we share them. My patients who have been willing to talk like Carl, almost always say the same thing. I wish I'd spoken up sooner. I wish I'd known it was okay to ask. I want to take this moment to thank you, not just for listening, but for caring about yourself and your health. Each of you, by joining in this conversation, is helping to break the silence and rewrite the story for seniors everywhere. Your voice, your questions, and your willingness to engage help others feel less alone and more empowered. Before we finish, let me gently remind you one more time. If this message has spoken to you or offered some reassurance, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss an update. And don't forget to leave a simple yes or no in the comments if you feel more comfortable, more confident, or just more curious after hearing what we've shared today. I do read each one, and they help me understand what matters to you most. In closing, think back to where we started, with that quiet question, am I too old? The real answer, as Carl and so many others have discovered, is a resounding no. You are never too old to care for yourself, never too old for comfort or pleasure, and never too old to learn new things about your own body and heart. Aging brings changes, but it also brings wisdom, resilience, and sometimes, the best surprises of all. Take pride in this stage of life. Honor your needs, be kind to yourself, and know that every step you take, no matter how small, toward self-acceptance is a step toward greater well-being. I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and it's been my privilege to share this journey with you. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you nurture with your own heart and body. Be well, be gentle, and never stop exploring what makes you feel truly alive.